Okay, physical changes. So let's start with that. Physical changes. Okay, so really these are just a change of state, frankly. Change of state. No new substance is formed. Okay, and one other thing too here is we should also mention that could also be dissolving. So things dissolving is a physical change. Excuse me. So maybe just a couple of examples too. Suppose I could make that a little bit bigger. Of examples because this is really kind of it. Example, folding paper. You know, you fold it, you still got paper. Or even ripping paper. Still got paper. Chopping wood. Still got wood. Breaking glass. I don't know. Dissolving sugar in water. There's like 4 examples right there. By the way, we're going to have a quiz a little bit later in this class on this stuff, and not a bad idea to get these examples down because they might even appear on the quiz. Okay, so there we go. And the point is that there's no new substance formed. I'll give you a sec to get all that down, and then we'll talk about chemical changes. Okay, are we ready here? Good, okay, let's get on to chemical changes. They're, like I said, a little more interesting. Chemical changes. So the bottom line here is there is a new substance is formed. A new substance is formed with new properties, etc. But let's just say a new substance is formed. And I want to mention those 4 clues. So let's say that as well. There are 4 clues that a chemical change has occurred. So in no particular order here. Maybe I'll even go to a new slide for this, so we can get them all on one. So new substances formed. There are 4 clues. So let's do those clues. So number 1, there is a change in color. So the eggs cooking, that's a change in color. There's a lot of things that are cooking in this section that would be a chemical change. Oh, what's going on here? Why such a tiny 2? Okay. All right, this is messing with me. I don't know why. Okay, number 2, a change. Number 2. Oh my goodness. Sorry, kids. Wow. Okay. Let's say a change in energy. Things get hot or cold. This is frustrating. Okay, number 3, we've got change in odor, or change in let's say formation of a gas. That's better. Formation of a gas, and then I'll just put in brackets here, odor, because like I said, you can't have an odor unless there's a gas. And lastly, there is a formation of a solid. That would be the precipitate. That's the fancy name for it. Precipitate. Now we get into precipitates more in grade 10, I guess. Now it's just one of our clues. So formation of a solid. You put 2 liquids together that look like water, and then suddenly there's it almost looks like paint is formed in it. If we were in class, I could totally do a couple of cool ones for you, but I can't. Now, there's one sort of rule of thumb that in the past, this was sort of the 5th clue. This is actually like what I'm about to write here. If you've learned nothing so far, this is the key point. And that's that these chemical changes are hard to reverse. Chemical changes are hard to reverse. So what I'm saying is physical changes might be easy to reverse. So for instance, if you had a block of ice and you let it melt, you've got a change of state, and that means you've got a physical change. Because it's easy just to sort of, lower the temperature, and you could take the water and turn it back into ice. However, chemical changes here, it's hard to reverse these things. For instance, we talked about cooking eggs back in the color change one. Like once you've cooked the eggs, I can't think of an easy method for you to return the cooked eggs back to the raw eggs. That just seems impossible. So this is how we're this thing here. This is how we're going to decide if something is a chemical or a physical change. Okay, we're just going to use this as our reference. Is the change they're talking about, is it hard to reverse? If it is, then we'll call it a chemical change. What the heck? Okay, so Here's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna flip over the textbook for a second, and I'm gonna grab the homework questions. I'll come back here. Nuts. Okay, here are the homework questions. Let me just do a couple together. We'll just talk about them. And then, yeah, I'll let you guys get to work. So, like, 1A is probably a good one to look at. So let's use our rule of thumb about things being reversible here to decide here. So 1A says, folding a paper airplane. Could you reverse the folding of the paper airplane and still have paper? Yeah, you could. It might not be perfect, but you could reverse it. So that would be a physical change. You guys don't need to copy these ones down. You can just sort of watch me do them. B, freezing water on a windshield. So you got ice, you got water. Yeah, you can go back and forth pretty easily on that one. So I would also say that would be a physical change. And car rusting. I feel like that's a typo. A car rusting. Okay, so once a car is rusted, it's not impossible, but it seems pretty difficult to change that back to the original car. Like you'd have to remove the rust. So that would be a chemical change. You have a new substance forming, rust. D, dissolving. When you see the word dissolve, you got to think physical change. That's sort of a key word. E, making a campfire. That one's a little ambiguous. Like you could make a campfire, I guess, out of wood, but once you light it on fire, you clearly got a new substance. You got a change that you can't reverse. So there you go. The rest of these questions are, I don't know, not great. So what I want you guys to do is go to the website and we'll get that worksheet out. So I'll grab it too here. So if you're watching still, it's right here, physical changes worksheet. Why don't I give you guys like 10 minutes to do them? There's, I don't know, there's that many of them. And then we'll take it up. And then after that, we're going to have a quiz. So that'll be a nice short, like 45-minute class today. So 10 minutes, you guys work on this. We'll take it up. Then we'll do a quiz. All right, kids, might be worth taking some of these up here. So let's remember these changes are hard to reverse. So kind of the keywords we're looking for here are going to be our words like changing of state. So all that stuff we did yesterday, evaporating, condensing, boiling, those are all changes of state. So those are going to be physical changes. So when we're looking at the first one, which is boil, you can boil something, you can condense it back. That's got to be a physical change. P for physical. That's all I'm going to do here. Combustion. If you burn something, well, it's pretty hard to turn it back into what you started with, the fuel. So that's going to be a chemical change. Evaporate. That is a change of state. That is a physical change. Corrode. You might not know what corrode means. You might have seen like a battery that is all messed up. It's got all this gunk on it. That would be the corroding part. So once it's corroded, difficult to change back. So that is going to be a chemical change. Crumple. I guess again, you take a piece of paper, you crumple it up. That's going to be your physical change. I wish I'd changed the font size on this. Tear. You tear a piece of paper in half, you still have two pieces of paper. So that must be a physical change. If you melt ice, you still have ice water, you still have water. So G is also a physical change. Rusting. Rusting, a new substance is formed. It's hard to reverse back. So that's a chemical change. If you crush something, I don't know, what could we crush? Like a bug. I don't know, you still have a bug. Now it's just dead. Physical change. If you freeze something, oh, it sounds like physical as well. That's one of our changes of state things. Flammable. Flammable, that is about chemical. If you tarnish something like silver tarnishes, you know, it's all silver, shiny, reflective, then you got this black substance all over it. You've got a new substance, you have a chemical change. Exploding, that sounds like a chemical change as well. If you grind something down, can't think of anything to grind. I don't know, piece of metal. Well, you've just kind of ground other parts of metal off, so that would also be a physical change. When something rots, I feel like that's one of my classic questions on the quiz coming up. Garbage rotting, is that chemical or physical? Well, once it's rotted, it's hard to change it back to the original garbage, so that's going to be a chemical change. Vaporize, break in half, and sublimate. These are all physical changes. Those are all just a changing of state, etc., etc. So that is question 1. Again, it's hard for me to tell if I'm giving you guys enough time to get this done. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm hoping. I'm guessing and hoping. That's what I'm doing here. So that's question 1. Here's question 2. Why don't I give you like a couple of minutes here just to make sure we're all done. Again, if you're already done, you can take a break. All right. Hopefully you guys are done. If not, you can just follow along and absorb the information. Okay, so label, again, same thing as we just did. I see the word evaporate. That is a physical thing, so that's a physical change. Melting, also a physical change. Rotting, that's your chemical. Charcoal heating a grill is like, I don't know, it's kind of, I feel like it's sort of both, isn't it? You know, the grill is physical, but the charcoal is chemical. So I don't know. This one's not very specific. Yeah, that's a bad one. E, autumn leaves changing color. Well, they can't really go back, so that must be a chemical change. A hot glass cracking when placed in cold water. You just got glass cracking, so that must be physical. Melting copper metal. Well, it's melting, so that must be physical. Burning sugar. I don't know if you've ever burned sugar. It's hard to get it back to what it was, so that's got to be a chemical. Mixing sugar and water, that's just dissolving, so that's also physical. Digesting food, well, we all know what food comes out looking like. It's hard to get it back to what it's originally there. So that's a chemical. 3, which of the following would not be a physical change? Which is not? Freezing, melting, burning gasoline. Oh, there it is right there. That's your chemical change, so that's going to be our answer. Bang. All right, kids. We're going to do a little quiz. I got to activate the quiz, though.